try to learn from other people, but not copy them exactly. Do it in your way.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin Harlan gave me some advice when I was young that I always liked, which was never let yourself get taken advantage by other people and never take advantage of other people.
That's a really important lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, it's the girl Kyle, and you're watching Spill It. It's a show that gives you a glimpse into the performer's mindset and reveals the person behind the persona. Testing 1, 2, 3. Somebody's got to pinch me because today, joining us in the virtual Spill It studio is the ultra-talented musician extraordinaire, Kevin Hearn. Kevin is best known as the multi-instrumentalist from Barenaked Ladies, the multi-platinum selling band he's been playing with for over 2 decades. One of the most respected Toronto musicians of the past 25 years, Kevin has collaborated, recorded, and performed with incredible artists such as Gord Downie, Femmes, Laurie Anderson, Carole Pope, Garth Hudson, the Persuasions, the Cranberries, Sexsmith, and the Rheostatics. One of his closest relationships, both musically and personally, was the late, great Lou Reed, from whom Kevin acted as the keyboardist and musician director from 2007 up until his passing in 2013. None of us can be everything to everyone, but Kevin will tell you that when he makes his own records, he follows his heart and his curiosity. If that sounds like you, or even if it doesn't, stay tuned, as this episode is for you. Before we get started, I wanted to shine the spotlight on Music Counts. Music Counts is Canada's music education charity that is affiliated with CARIS and the Juno Awards. Their mission is to build accessible and sustainable music programs for in-need schools and communities across Canada by providing musical instruments, equipment, and resources. To help them put instruments into the hands of kids that need them most, visit musiccounts.ca. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Oh, hello. How you doing?
Really good, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have you on the show. It's been 1.5 years since you gave me the opportunity to perform with the Barenaked Ladies in Detroit at the DTE Music Center. It seems like yesterday, and yet so much has happened since then. And that was definitely the biggest crowd I've ever performed in front of, and yet you do it all the time. I have to ask, do you still get nervous when you see a large crowd?
I actually get more nervous when it's a small crowd, like a family gathering or something like that, because you know everyone in the room, and when there's a huge crowd, it just becomes one big sort of ball of energy. And once I got used to that, I really enjoy that part of it. I enjoy walking out on stage and feeling that energy. For me, it's not so much about being nervous or not. It's whether I have got the energy that it takes to go out there and really give all the energy I have to the audience. And that kind of comes down to looking after myself on the road and having a routine that sort of helps me keep healthy and helps me keep my energy till the end of the day, because there's so much that we do all day. That you want to walk out there on stage and not feel, depleted.
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
And I'm amazed what you're able to do up there. Like, I could not go out on stage and do what you do. That's just incredible. We always enjoy having you up there. So thank you.
Thank you. And I'm always questioning the same thing, because I'm like, I perform and it's fine for me, and then I'm questioning how you go up there and just it looks so natural, because that's really something you love.
Well, it is. At the end of the day, that's the part of the job I really love the most, is just playing. And so you have to go through so much just to get there: taxis,
Sure.
Airports, sound checks, hotel rooms, rehearsals, and then finally you're up on stage in front of people. And yeah, I remember when I was younger, I used to get really nervous, and I just had this inner dialogue one day that said, these people are coming here because they want to see you play and they want to hear you play.
Mm-hmm.
And you're doing them a disservice if you're not doing your best. And so being nervous just sort of gets in the way of that. And it's something you kind of do to yourself. So you just have to believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing and relax, I think, and get the ego and the inner dialogue, put it at bay.
Yeah. And I understand that you went to school not far from Massey Hall and that you were occasionally would skip class to go to practice. What's the story there?
Sure. I went to a school called St. Michael's Choir School, and it's down around the corner from Massey Hall, as you said. We would do our Christmas concerts there every year.
Oh.
And there was a real focus on the music programming at St. Michael's Choir School. Every student was in the choir. Every student had to take piano lessons. They also offered guitar lessons, harmony, organ lessons, violin. But down in the basement of the school, there was the cafeteria, and then there was this area that was all piano studios. And the piano teachers would be down there. And whenever it was time for your weekly piano lesson, whatever class you happened to be in, you go, oh, it's 2:30, I have my piano lesson. You would stand up and walk out of the class and go down and have your piano lesson. No questions asked. So I kind of figured out, like, man, I can stand up in any class at any time and just pretend it's my piano lesson. And I just loved playing piano so much. I would go down and find an empty studio and, play the Incredible Hulk theme or whatever I was trying to learn at the time.
That's awesome.
But I was always on the school property. I didn't go out, I was just a piano nerd,
Yeah. Did you know for sure when you were younger that you wanted to be a professional musician, or was there something else you thought you might be when you grew up?
There was a lot of music in my household growing up. Both my parents loved music, and I had 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and everyone loved their bands or their artists. And I fell in love with the Beatles when I was 5 and the Beach Boys, and it put a spell on me. And I begged my mom if I could, buy a record, and I bought Magical Mystery Tour by the Beatles. And it was kind of one of their psychedelic records that just lots of neat sounds and interesting lyrics, a song called Flying. And it just caught my imagination. And I thought, I want to be in that world. It means something to me. I don't know what it means, and we had a piano in our house, and I asked my mom if I could take piano lessons. So I started piano lessons around that time too. The only other thing I would have loved to have done with my life is dedicate it to animals, like be a vet or a zoologist or something, because I love animals and nature. But music was the thing that really I felt connected to.
And you mentioned that from a young age, you really loved music, which kind of leads me to my next question. What was your first touring band you were in?
The first real professional band I was in was called the Look People. And I started playing in the Look People when I was in high school. And my girlfriend at the time, Susie, she kind of recommended me to her friends because they were looking for a keyboardist. But it was kind of a crazy band. That's our first record. And that's me in the background there. But I was still in high school when my bandmates were all 10 years older than me. And I was I'd leave school early some days my first professional gig out of town was actually in London, Ontario at Call the Office with the Look People.
Wow.
And I was still in high school. Yeah.
That's a lot to get done already when you're just in high school.
Yeah, I was ready.
And now you mentioned you were with the Look People, but then how did you get involved with the Barenaked Ladies?
Well, I want to tell you one little story, because when I was with the Look People, I was signed up to go to university for music. And
wow.
Yeah, but the Look people were offered a big tour in Switzerland and Germany, and I really wanted to go. And my mom said, you got to go to school and leave that rock band. And she said, go talk to your Uncle Tom because he's a musician. And so I went to Uncle Tom's house and Aunt Mary, and I don't think they told me what my mom wanted them to tell me. They said, Kevin, this is your dream to go on tour. Why don't you do the tour and start school next year? So that's what I did. And the band sort of had some success. And I ran into the Barenaked Ladies because they were just starting out at that time. Mm-hmm. And we sort of knew each other from the Toronto music community. And we shared a rehearsal space with a band called the Rheostatics. And I kind of got invited into their orbit and started playing with them as well. And a comedy troupe called Corky and the Juice Pigs. They really liked the Look people. So we collaborated on something called the Bazooka Joe musical. Do you remember they had bubble gum called Bazooka Joe, and they had these little comic strips. They were so corny. But we did a musical. Oh, do you remember that?
Kind of. I can kind of still picture it.
So we brought those to life. We'd act out the comic strips and add music to them. And Barenaked Ladies were big fans of Corky and the Juice Pigs too. So they kind of were aware of me because they saw me play with those bands. And Jim's brother, Andy, was the keyboardist in the band for the two first records. And I ran into Tyler Stewart one day at the Horseshoe Tavern. And he said, hey, Kevin. I said, hi, Tyler. He said, we were talking about you today. And I thought, because I didn't know him that well. I said, oh, why? Yeah. He goes, well, Andy's leaving the band and we don't want to do auditions and go through all that. We'd really
of course
be in. Yeah. We want to ask you if you'd do a 2-month tour with us. And I found out years later that there was a fellow, a real music personality here in Toronto named David Bookman, who's sadly no longer with us, but apparently he was the one who recommended me to those guys. Yeah, so pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And so I did the 2-month tour, and then they asked me to join full time, and that was in 1995.
So how long's that been that you've been with them as a total?
I think it's about 111 years.
Perfect.
It feels like
perfect answer.
Okay.
And if you were to pick one funny experience that stands out from all the rest while touring with the Barenaked Ladies, what would it be?
Oh, gosh. When people ask me this, it's like all 111 years flash before my eyes, and it's it's hard to pick one. But there's one that happened recently that cracks me up. We were playing at the SOCAN Awards. Ed was receiving some recognition for The Big Bang Theory, and we were going to close the awards ceremony by playing The Big Bang Theory, segueing into Jim's bass solo, and then the song 1 Week. But before we got to that part of the show, there was a whole awards presentation. And so our equipment was set up on the stage, which was dark. And then there was a curtain and then a podium out front, and then a bunch of tables. And the band, do you know the band Nickelback?
I've heard of them.
Yeah, their lead singer, Chad Kruger, quite a character. He was receiving an award. So kind of the award of the night. So he was up there giving a speech that was at times really funny and at times really awkward. Oh. And Jim, me, Ty, and Ed were watching this, and Jim decided to go backstage or onto the stage behind the curtain and start running through his bass solo through his in-ears. So only he could hear it, right? But when Jim gets into playing, he makes sounds like he goes,
yeah.
like he sings.
Of course, yeah.
So he didn't realize that he was right behind the curtain where Chad was giving his speech. So Chad was giving a speech, and then all of a sudden he stops and goes, "What is going on back there?" And he says, "It sounds like Parliament Funkadelic behind me. There's some guy back there slapping the bass." And it was Jim. So, our crew had to run over to Jim and tell him to stop, but he was just back there like, bam, 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 bam. And so we've just been teasing Jim about that ever since.
Oh, yeah.
But stuff like that happens all the time. That's not like the most funny thing, but that's just what came to my mind when you
Definitely,
asked me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And out of all the venues that you've performed at, what was your favorite?
Well, as you mentioned, I went to the choir school around the corner from Massey Hall, and we did our Christmas concerts there. So that would have been like, for me, grade 3 was when I did my first concert at Massey Hall. And I have a lot of memories there about learning about performing, walking out in order, dressing appropriately, standing up straight, all those simple things that you just,
yeah.
But whenever I perform at Massey Hall now, it's a special feeling for me because of all those memories and experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like my sort of musically spiritual home. When I started playing at Massey Hall with the choir, the basement wasn't finished like the way it is today. There was no bar, there was no area for guests. It was just kind of wires and a very dirty floor. And we had a teacher named Mr. Behringer, and he would line us up and he would kind of walk behind us. And if our hair was too long, he'd just cut it, like there was kind of a trend back then called a rat tail, which was like a little mini ponytail. And that was like, forget it. If you had one of those, the scissors snip.
Oh, gosh.
But I remember I had to sing a few solos once. And I asked our conductor, Father Armstrong, I said, "Is it normal to feel nervous?" And he said, "You know what it means?" I said, "What does it mean?" He goes, "It means you're human." I learned a lot of lessons, performing at Massey Hall and being with the choir.
Mm-hmm. And now it is time to shake things up a bit with our first Spill It segue, which is a speed round of Would You Rather. 3 questions, 30 seconds on the clock. God. Are you ready?
Okay. I think we need some theme music.
Would you rather be royalty 1,000 years ago or an average person today?
I'd rather be me, a normal person today. Although I would like to be in a time machine and go back there to check it out.
That would be cool. Yeah. Would you rather have a sing-off with Michael Bublé or a dance-off with Lady Gaga?
I'd like to have a dance-off with Lady Gaga because I can't really dance, and I think we'd have fun making fun of that.
Yeah. Would you rather visit the International Space Station for a week or spend a week in a hotel at the bottom of the ocean?
Oh, that's a tough one. I didn't know. Oh, I only have a few seconds, right? That's tough. I'm going to have to go with outer space. Space is the place.
Perfect. And now, on top of being a member of the Barenaked Ladies, you also have produced your own solo albums. How would you describe your music?
I'd say they're like, each song is like a little mini movie and a painting for the ears. A lot of people say my music has like a dreamlike quality, and I like that.
And it's really good that you're able to connect with your music in that way, in the sense of each one's its own little picture and its own little spark of imagination.
Sure. Yeah, like when you read a book of short stories, each one's a little different and they take you on a little journey. And I like to pay attention to each song that way and give it what it needs to be successful in its own little way.
Mm-hmm. And now, who are your main musical influences?
Well, I mentioned the Beatles. When I was 9, I was playing lawn darts with my friend Billy across the street, and he had an old tape deck with the radio in it, and I heard this song come on that just blew me away. And it turns out it was a song called "Walk on the Wild Side" by Lou Reed, and that opened a whole door to another world of music that I didn't know. And he was sort of my musical hero. Oh, geez, turned on the drums. He was my musical hero all my life since then. I had his photo up in my locker and learned all those songs. And yeah.
That's wonderful. And what are your top 5 favorite songs of all time?
Oh, gosh. Well, "Walk on the Wild Side" would be one. "Sunday Morning" by Lou's band, The Velvet Underground. I love the song "In My Life" by the Beatles. I love the song "Waiting in Vain" by Bob Marley and the Wailers. I think that's one of the most beautiful love songs out there. And a song called "Northern Sky" by Nick Drake. I love that song too.
Mm-hmm. And why those songs?
They just give me that feeling, they take me away on a little trip, and each one in a different way, in my life certainly makes me reflect on all the people in my life that I love that, I've either lost or that are still here. And I like songs that make me feel that way, that
Yeah.
allow me to kind of feel an emotion.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say your music says about you?
Um, Gosh, you know, there's a philosophy by an artist that I really like that I'd like to apply to myself if I could. And he's an indigenous artist named Norval Morrisseau, and he considered himself a shaman. And he said that the world was full of gray, and he wanted to bring color into it. And he wanted to heal people through his paintings and through his colors.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, if I would like to say anything about my music, is that I hope I can do something similar with it, in that I can offer an insight or experience or an emotional reaction to people, whether it's through music that has humor in it, like the Barenaked Ladies
Yeah.
at times, or whether it's a more serious thought or experience.
And what are some of your biggest musical challenges?
Musical challenges. I don't know. I think if you stop trying to learn or stop trying to hone your craft better, then you can sort of just kind of ride it with what you have. The challenge for me is to keep learning and pushing myself, to do better and try new things. And yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
And now, throughout this whole pandemic, we've had to move quite a bit of stuff to our home, from recording facilities to other things. But what kind of recording facilities do you have at your home?
I have like a Pro Tools system. I have a computer. I have really nice speakers, and basically my home has become my studio. What you see behind me,
Yeah.
I've got a Yamaha upright piano that I keep microphones set up. So if I have an idea, I can get it down,
Mm-hmm.
And then, I always have things like, the keyboard I was playing, like this. I'll have a sorry. I'll have a keyboard around, or I'll have jingle bells kicking around, or
cute.
if you need a jaw harp, I got one, So
Wow.
yeah.
Well, and see, you mentioned just being able to get that song out, and that's really important because I find if you don't write it down anywhere or you don't get it out, then you forget about it. And then when you go and try and go back, it's just not there, and you're like, I wish I wrote that idea down. Because you
Does that
just,
happen to you?
yes, definitely.
Okay.
It's
Do you
also,
write lyrics or stories or?
I'm not typically, sometimes stories or ideas for a project I'm doing or anything like that. And then I'll be like, oh, well, I'll remember it. And then I don't write it down because I think I'll remember it. And then I don't remember it. And then that idea is gone.
Yeah, I always think, oh, that's a good idea. I'll remember that for sure. But then it's, I kick myself every time and don't do it.
What are the best ideas that just go poof?
Yeah. But the iPhone that I have is great. They have like a voice memo, and it's really easy to just press record and sing it or whatever and get it down. So it's really helped that process for me.
Mm-hmm. And now it is time for Spill It segue number 2 called Fact or Fiction. As quickly as you can, answer the following questions. Fact or fiction, you've never toured with Hootie and the Blowfish.
Fiction.
And fact or fiction, you released an album called Havana Winter.
That's fact.
And do you want to tell us a little bit more about that album?
I made that record. It's called, Havana Winter. I made that with Michael Philip Vojevoda, and that's a special record for me. It has Lou Reed plays guitar on it, and Laurie Anderson plays violin, and it's dedicated to my daughter, whose name is Havana Winter. She was born on the first day of winter, so that's her middle name. Yeah.
And fact or fiction, you created an exclusive EP called Kevin Hearn and Friends Present the Superhero Suite in support of Music Counts.
That is fact. Cold, hard fact.
And okay, let's talk more about Music Counts for a minute. Why was it important for you to be involved in a project like that?
Well, we spoke about my school earlier and how there were piano studios right there. And for any child who wanted to pursue music, it was readily available to them. And scientific studies have proven that music helps in the development of the brain. Mm-hmm. But nowadays, there's just constantly cuts to programming, and music is one of the things that suffers the most. So I wanted to do this fun project that involved making a medley of superhero songs, and I wanted to involve people I'd worked with over the years, sort of to just reconnect and do something fun. But I didn't want to do it as a business thing where I was trying to make money off of it. So I felt it was kind of a perfect project to sell and raise money for Music Counts and sort of give back and try to get instruments into the schools. And I want to show you something.
All right.
I don't know if you can see this, but that's a fly-in community in the Northwest Territories. And all those instruments were bought from the Superhero Project. And they've written on the card here, Kevin and the Superhero. Thank you, Kevin and the Superhero Sweet Family. So, that makes me happy. Those kids have guitars and violins, and maybe they can try and write some songs or express what they're feeling. And that's what I needed to do when I was a kid. I needed to skip class and go play the Incredible Hulk. So you got to be able to do these things.
Definitely. And now in the title, it says Kevin Hearn and Friends. Who are the friends who performed in that EP with you?
Got the Persuasions, who are a legendary a cappella group.
Wow.
I've got Michael Ray, who is from a legendary jazz family called the Sun Ra Orchestra. And he also played with Kool and the Gang. Do you remember them? Get Down on It. Anyways, the Shuffle Demons, Mary Margaret O'Hara, the Rheostatics, Ron Sexsmith, Lou Reed's band. The Violent Femmes, Barenaked Ladies, Colin Hay, Aaron Jensen and Countermeasure, my cousin Harland Williams, Corky and the Juice Pigs are on there separately. Alan Doyle,
Wow.
Carole Pope, the Look People. Everybody's on there that was, a part of my life.
Yeah.
It was a real labor of love. And then my friend Lockie did all the artwork, which,
Well, that's
put everybody
really
in there.
cool.
Yeah, we did like a comic book where I discover this. Anyways, I have to read it to refresh my memory. But my cousin Harland Williams did the backup. It's like a spoof of the comics. You'd find advertisements at the back. So you can buy your very own onion glasses, Spanish or Bermuda. Never go dry-eyed at another wedding or funeral. Grow authentic yellow porcupine teeth. Anyhow, my cousin Harlan's pretty funny.
Yeah, those are
So
really well done drawings.
Thank you. Yeah, this was nominated for Artwork of the Year in the Junos. So very proud of that. And I loved working with Music Counts. I'd like to do something again with them.
And have you collaborated with other artists?
Oh yeah, lots. This record just turned 25. The Rheostatics, Group of Seven. Music inspired by the Group of Seven. And as I said, my musical hero is Lou Reed, and I got to be his band leader, and that was a huge honor.
Yeah.
And then I also got to collaborate with Gord Downie. I played on his Coke Machine Glow record, and I did his Secret Path shows with him and helped take that record from the recording to the live stage. So it was a real honor to be Gord's friend and work with them in that capacity.
What are some of your favorite moments with these musicians?
I always love the laughter. I love usually often after a show, that feeling that where you've done the best you could and the audience enjoyed it, and it's time to celebrate and have a laugh.
Of course.
When I was working with Gord Downie on the Secret Path shows, we rehearsed right behind me in this living room, and Gord didn't want to go out for lunch or anything. He just wanted to go up to the roof. So we'd go up the stairs and I'd bring him a salad or a sandwich, and we'd sit up and, just kind of relax and look up at the sky. And those were kind of precious moments of calm and peace, which are really important.
Always.
Yeah.
And what advice can you offer in terms of collaborating with other people?
I don't know. I guess you kind of bring the same consideration you would bring in to a conversation. You don't want to keep interrupting or, finishing someone's sentences or bossing them around. So you do the same in a musical conversation. And I think it's also important to recognize your mentors. They say if you're playing pool against someone who's better than you, your game becomes better too. And I think you look for those situations where working with someone can elevate you and you can learn and sort of let them take the wheel, but also recognize when you can do that for someone else as well.
And now it is time for our final Spill It segue, number 3, called Just a Minute. I'm going to give you a topic, and your task is to talk about that topic for 1 full minute.
Good God.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Your topic is Emily's House. Go.
Oh. Emily's House is a beautiful place in Toronto, Ontario. They offer hospice and respite to families that are struggling with children who have illnesses, whether they're life-threatening or just challenging. My daughter, Havana, is special needs. And as she grew and got bigger, it was really tough for us to look after her 24/7 without help. And we needed a break sometimes. And Emily's House offers families that opportunity.
Wow.
And it's not a dour environment. They're very fun and watch movies and have parties and crafts.
Oh.
And yeah, it's a beautiful place for the whole family, because even though you're struggling, you sort of feel normal, when you're there, and that's so important. And it's named Emily's house. It was named after a child who was special needs, and
Oh.
it's just a beautiful place that has heart and soul, and it's right down near Queen and Broadview. And so I encourage anyone who needs that sort of service in their life to contact them, or if they're looking for a place to sort of support, it's an amazing place.
Let's get to know you better with some of Spillet's Just Curious questions.
Okay.
What's the last thing you watched on TV, and why did you choose to watch it?
I watched a show called Painting with John, and it's hosted by an artist named John Lurie, who's very interesting. And the show, he's just sort of imparting wisdom that he's learned as an artist over the years. And it feels like a real different kind of show to me. He'll just slowly show a sunset and say, now we all see the sunset. I'm probably supposed to say something nice about the sunset, but I would like you to make a poem up about it right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's kind of interactive.
Yeah. But twists and turns like that, always something different. And I was watching the show with a friend, and I was a bit like, I wonder how they're going to like this. But they immediately made up a poem about the sunset. It was Havana's mom. Yeah. And so it was like a really nice moment, because there's so much bad news and politics on TV that it was nice just to
Of
have a
course.
breath of fresh air. Yeah.
Ooh, and this is one of my favorites. A penguin walks through your door right now wearing a sombrero. What does he say, and why is he here?
A penguin?
A penguin.
Okay. He asks, "Where's the ice cubes, man?" And he wants a smoothie, and I'm gonna make him one, because I'm a nice guy.
Such a nice gesture for this penguin who has probably traveled miles upon miles to get here. All right, and now describe your life using
Whoa.
only film titles.
Oh gosh. That's tough. Escape from Witch Mountain. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Eraserhead. How's that?
Pretty good.
Okay.
And what are the conditions that bring your best work to the table?
I guess a relaxed comfort level. And, I always find I have some of my best ideas going for a walk, especially in a different place, a city or a forest, or, ideally in nature. I have my best ideas, I think. Clear the mind.
Of course, yeah. It's always nice to have a clear mind, especially when you're really putting focus into something.
And how do you clear your mind before you do those crazy flips and stuff?
I just take a step back, breathe, maybe take a sip of water, only a small sip because I don't want to get cramps, but just take a step back, breathe, know that I can do this, and then I go. And when you really picture yourself landing that trick or completing that project or singing that lyric, it almost seems even more possible than it already is.
Mm-mm.
And now you open the door to get the mail, and a raccoon sneaks in the house. What do you do?
I ask him politely to leave, and he won't, I'm sure.
Probably not.
So my brother Sean found himself in this position not too long ago, and he basically had to block off any avenues where the raccoon could go, and then use a broom and sort of escort it out. So that's probably what I'd try.
Just saying, for some reason, I really now want to see someone trying to get a raccoon out of their house. Why?
They're not scared of us anymore. They're just like, I'm coming in, and it'll
Yeah.
be, it'll have the remote watching TV in no time.
It's time for our final Just Curious question. What food do you wish didn't exist?
As they start making synthetic hamburgers and synthetic meat, I'm going to say it'd be nice if people started eating that and we could just see the cows out on the field and not have to eat all the animals.
Yeah, that'd actually be
that?
really nice because then we would have so many more animals.
Yeah, and we need them, and we should be nicer to them.
Now, the pandemic has been really hard on the entertainment industry. How have you kept yourself busy while you're not touring?
Just daily routines, meditating, riding my bike, working on projects. I mean, not necessarily writing, but projects that help with my craft. With the Barenaked Ladies, immediately we started wondering how can we stay connected through this time, both as a band and with our fans, our audience. So we started doing these selfie cam jams. And at first they were just with our iPhones, and we'd each send our footage to our director friend Edward, and he'd put them together. And if you look at the older ones, they're very sort of do-it-yourself quality. Tyler, I think, was just playing on a counter or something with sticks. But as we kept doing them, we all started becoming better engineers and learning how to record microphones and mic our drum kits. And I think we've all improved our game in that sense through the pandemic.
And how do you stay organized and prioritize your tasks throughout this whole pandemic?
I keep a list. I keep a to-do list. And, I have like 2 pages right here. That's my to-do list. After I get off of this with you, I just go through and check them, and just try to keep on top of things,
What lessons, if any, have you learned during the pandemic?
Certainly I'm sure we all feel grateful for things that maybe we took more for granted.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like connecting with loved ones and family and friends. And just the idea of sitting in a restaurant with a friend,
definitely
having a laugh. Yeah, just seems like, wouldn't that be so nice right now? But
totally.
When things come back to that way where we can do that again, how much more we will all appreciate those things. Important.
And where do you see the future of live music heading in these times?
Not very far right now, yeah, let's hope that we get back to live music soon. We haven't played a show now in over a year. So I think when we do play a show, when I get on stage again, I'm going to play like Jimi Hendrix. I'm going to be, playing the piano with my teeth and lighting it on fire, whatever it takes. And you're going to be up there with your nunchucks, and we're going to rock the world.
Let's do it. Let's put a plan in action for when this is all over.
Yeah, we're going to need you.
Thank you. Would you have any advice for artists or songwriters wanting to follow in your footsteps?
I wear a size 9 shoe. I guess what I usually tell people when I'm asked this question is just keep working and try to find your own voice. Try to learn from other people, but not copy them exactly. Do it in your way. And my cousin Harlan gave me some advice when I was young that I always liked, which was never let yourself get taken advantage by other people, and never take advantage of other people.
That's a really important lesson. Well, Well, and now that's all the time we have. But before we go, do you have any final words of wisdom you'd like to leave our audience with?
To it and at it and to it. You got to tune your attitude in. If you don't get to it when you get at it, you won't get to it to get at it again.
Wow.
That's a Stompin' Tom Connors song.
I was definitely not expecting that. And once we're off air, where can our viewers find you?
Kevin Hearn Music on Instagram is where I'm most active. I post something every day. And so if they need to find me, that's the best place to start.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being ready to spill it with us, Kevin. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us today.
That was fun. Thanks for inviting me. Hang in there.
This week's episode has come to an end, but the fun doesn't have to end here. If you have any questions, suggestions, or feedback, head on over to our Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Like, share, and get involved. Until next time, stay awesome, stay driven, and always be ready to spill it. Akaya, out.